Good rising, brethren. This is Big Judah coming to you guys from California. Before I begin, give all praises to the Most High, Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother, who is wisdom, who is the Holy Spirit. Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. Prayer to the Most High. Blesses this lesson this evening. Gives more knowledge and understanding of the events of the past in order to understand the events that are currently happening on the earth, so we may get a much better understanding of what is soon to come on the earth. Early this morning, around 4 o'clock in the morning, the Spirit woke me up and brought back to my attention the book of Prophecies by Columbus. And she put a few things in my mind, as well as a brother that I spoke with yesterday, talking about how that video really affected him in a positive way. So I kind of felt that with that conversation and the Most High waking me up and giving me some things to talk about, that I should come back to the family and make a part 2 of the going into the prophecies of Columbus, because these prophecies are speaking to us today. The prophecies are definitely being fulfilled as we speak. The prophecies in this book that have that the other nations are working to keep from the other people, and you're going to see how this book, along with other books, continue to rise in price. See, before it was just enough for these plants or these people to just tell us not to read certain things. And now that that isn't necessarily working anymore, they implement other roadblocks, as in like the price for these books, or make these books unavailable. So we're going to go into this real quick. Again, here's the book, Christopher Columbus's Book of Prophecies, the reproduction of the original manuscript with English translation. And what I'll do is I'll in the description box, I'll leave the link to the other video that I did already previously on this book. And I've already uploaded pretty much most of the videos that I have on YouTube over to Patreon. And pretty much it's just so that people know where the page is. If something happens with YouTube or whatever else, that's just a sign that the Most High is going to he's going to be moving. See, when they start to cut off information, they think that it's hurting us, but it's definitely going to hurt them as well. It's going to hurt the other Gentiles who have been maybe kind of listening in a little bit. They won't have the option to listen in and to kind of be taught the truth. What we got to realize is that many Israelites and many Gentiles right now are being drawn in and being shown the truth, so that they will not have an excuse at the end. So we know that many more people are looking into these videos and looking at this information than is what is being shown, because many people are being shown this information not necessarily so they can get it, but so that they won't have an excuse when the prophecies are moved and the destruction comes. They will be reminded that they saw this information and that they had an opportunity to embrace the truth, and they chose not to. As well as many people are embracing this truth, Israelites and Gentiles alike. And you're going to see at the end that the more that people get exposed to the truth, the more that it bears positively to their spirits. And many people are seeing that what we are saying is true. The truth is undefeated. You can hide it, you can try to dismiss it, you can try to ignore it, but eventually the truth will win out at the end. And that's exactly what's happening right now. So these books, like this one right here, I had the story on the other video. I'll put it in the description box. Most of you guys have already seen it. I know a few people have seen it multiple times. And this book, I said, was absolutely amazing. The information that is in it proves to you that Columbus was not coming over this way looking for a way to China. He was being used to fulfill prophecy. He was actually being used to fulfill the prophecies in the book of More, in 1 Nephi 13, when the Most High put the Spirit on him to bring him over here. And he actually admits that in his book. They call these lands over here the Indies, but they knew that this was the land of the 10 tribes. They were well aware that this was the fourth part that they were not allowed to come to. And in other writings of Columbus, he actually alludes to this point. I've discussed that also in other videos as well. So the vast majority of the world knows that he was allowed. He was the vessel. Columbus was the vessel used to open up the highway to the fourth part, and he knew that he was fulfilling biblical prophecy. Now, in order to hide this information, these books are very difficult to get your hands on right now. And in the middle of the night, I pulled this up because, like I said, the Most High woke me up. And there was 2 books available. And as you can see, one was over $1,000. And then the other one was, last night was $4,700. I think he dropped the price down on the second one to $2,500. But as of last night, when the Most High woke me up and led me to look this up, this is what we found. 2 books, one for $1,000, one for $4,700. If this information is not true, do you really think there would be so few books available? Do you think they would cost this much? The actions of the adversary bear witness to if something is true or not. If something isn't true, it's easily attainable. When things are true and they want to keep it hidden, they make it very difficult to obtain. I did look at the well, hold on before I even get into that. The other book, and the story is when I first ordered the first book, I ordered this one first before I made the video, but I didn't receive it yet. So, but I made the video because I was using one of my close brothers' book. He already has a book as well. So I was making the video off of his book, but I went ahead and ordered it in anticipation of the price going up. So when I did order the book, they ended up shipping me this book. When I looked up to see how much the book was, this book was $15. Now they have one new one right here for $925. They had a couple of definitely cheaper ones for some used ones for cheaper, but the fact that they would even have one up here for $925 for one new one makes absolutely no sense. But when you see the video that I made and how you compare the two, you see the way that they manipulate information and they hide information. With the book of prophecies, you can then see through all the lies. Which, as you can see right here, $925 for this book. This book is maybe 50, 60 pages, not very much, and not like a lot of information. It's just more so that just a lot of opinion, like they do on many things. But what I did do was take a look at the reviews of the book of prophecies. And you're going to be kind of, you'd be pretty amazed at what you see here. So there's only 3 reviews of this book of prophecies. The one that's, 1,000 or 4,700. It says, this book was very helpful. I appreciated the details Christopher Columbus included, especially all the specific scripture verses that gave him encouragement and illuminated his path. The document is an important witness to the power and the presence of the Holy Spirit. Now we know that, like I said, the Holy Spirit was the one that was used to lead Columbus over here. And he admits it in his book as well. Let's continue with the second review. What more can I say? This book belongs to the world. Simply amazing. Rich and engaging. Read of a human being following God's will for the final outcome of humanity. After reading this book, the reader will begin to understand the puzzle piece, as to why the Earth's surface is the way it is at present. Linking this book to the Holy Bible will open your eyes and mind to the reality that we're not alone in the universe. The book opens your eyes to a spiritual realm of truth. Now, this is true, but you even get more clarification once you go with this book with the scriptures or the Bible, then you link it to the Book of More. Then it opens it up even more so. It gives even more clarity as to what is going on. Because that first Nephi 13 is so powerful when it talks about him, putting that spirit on, on the over the and bringing Columbus over the waters to our homeland over here. Next one, awesome book. Christopher Columbus said, awesome book. Christopher Columbus said, "It was the Lord who put into my mind. I could feel His hand upon me. The fact that it would be possible to sail from here to the Indies, because they already knew that they were not allowed to come to the fourth part. So they already knew that him trying to do this was basically suicide, because they were not allowed to, because the Most High would not allow them to. All who heard of my project rejected it with laughter, ridiculing me. There was no question, okay, that the inspiration was from the Holy Spirit, because He comforted me with rays of marvelous illumination from the Holy Scriptures, a strong and clear testimony from the 44 books of the Old Testament, from the 4 Gospels, and from the 23 epistles of the blessed apostles, encouraging me continually to press forward, and without ceasing. For a moment, they now encourage me to make haste." Slightly different English translation than one in this Amazon book, which I own, but the book says the same thing. Buy this book if you want to know the real Christopher Columbus and not the one most teachers told you about. You see, like I said, the world has been lied to. They were told a totally different false reasoning as to why Columbus came this way. He was being used to start the final chapter of prophecy. And what has happened is the Gentiles, or the priesthood of Mahan, sold the world a bunch of lies, because see, they believe that yes, this is biblical prophecy, them coming over here. They believe in the blessing, the fact that they got to come over here and take over the land and take over the people and everything else. But what the world fails to realize is that that was just the beginning of the prophecy. The taking down of the 10 tribes, the taking down of all 12 tribes. The final piece of this prophecy is the bringing back to life of the dead people, bringing back to life the 12 tribes, restoring their knowledge and understanding. That is the part that was not talked about, and the Gentiles were not told about. That's the part that now that is being fulfilled, and many people are now, realizing that they were lied to. See, there was one thing, is when we were given into their hands, they had certain ways they were supposed to treat us. And they went way too far. And all the way to this day, many of them still go way too far. There were certain things that they were allowed to do, and certain things they were not allowed to do. And they ignored the Most High's instructions and did whatever it was that they wanted to, not thinking that they were going to have to pay for their actions, or for the actions of their forefathers. And that's what we're going to get into right now. He talks about this even in the book, about how, the fulfillment of the restoration of the Most High's people. But that is something that the world seems to want to forget. And all they want to do at this time was just concentrate on the blessing that the Most High had given them for this time. This is what we are in now. We've gone through, our destruction. We went through our time of drinking that cup of destruction. And now that cup is being prepared for the rest of the world. And that is something that they don't want to believe in. But if the first part of the prophecies were fulfilled and the Most High used them for our destruction, then the second part that we're going to be looking at is also going to take place. Because the Most High is not a man that He would lie. Everything He said is going to happen is exactly what's going to happen. Let's take a look up here, right here. This is what's happening right now. See, I have taken out of your hand the cup that made you stagger. From that cup, the goblet of my wrath, you will never drink again. I will put it into the hands of your tormentors. And that is what is happening now. As you're looking at this crazy weather, you're looking at all these things that are going on. You're looking at how they're having to have all these different things happening in order to keep people's attention from what's really going on. You're hearing them talking about impeaching the president. You're hearing them talking about North Korea, testing missiles. You're hearing about the Palestinians attacking the Israelis. You're looking at the crazy weather. You're looking at the destruction of our crops in the middle of this country. You're looking at the way that the society is just falling apart. That is all part of the removal of the cup from our hands, and then the cup moving into, of destruction is moving to the other nations. As you look around, you see there's nothing but bleakness. You don't see sunshine at the end of the rainbow. Those days are done. And now it's time to pay for the actions and the things that were done, to the Most High's chosen seed. Let's continue with Isaiah 52 now. Awake, awake, O Zion. Clothe yourself with strength. Put on your garments of splendor, O Jerusalem, the holy city. The uncircumcised and defiled will not enter you again. Shake off your dust. Rise up. Sit enthroned, O Jerusalem. Free yourself from the chains on your neck, O captive daughter of Zion. For this is what the Most High says. You were sold for nothing, and without money you will be redeemed. How beautiful on the mountains are the feet of those who bring a good news, who proclaim peace, who bring good tidings, who proclaim salvation, who say to Zion, your power reigns. Listen, your watchmen lift up their voices. Together they shout for joy. When the Lord returns to Zion, they will see it with their own eyes. Burst into songs of joy. Together, your ruins of Jerusalem. For the Lord has comforted his people. He has redeemed Jerusalem. The Lord will lay bare his holy arm in the sight of all the nations. And all the ends of the earth will see the salvation of our power. Depart, depart, go out from there. Touch no unclean thing. Come out from it and be pure. You who carry the vessels of the Most High. But you will not leave in haste or go in flight, for the Most High will go before you. The God of Israel will be your rear guard. See, my servant will act wisely. And see, as we're coming out of this fog and out of this destruction, it's about free yourself from the chains on your neck. That goes with this knowledge and understanding. We've had these chains also put around our neck in order to stifle our spiritual growth. I said we've been this Christianity and Bible only and only reading the Bible and that is it. That is part of the chains that have stifled our growth. Those are the chains that have kept us from being able to realize there's so much more to our people than just the Southern Kingdom's records. When you have to put the Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom together, that's taking those chains off and not allowing the other nations to dictate what it is that we read. We don't allow them to dictate who we are. That is all part of this awakening as well. And when it talks about bearing his arm, when the Most High talks about that in the Book of War, the bearing of the arm was the bringing down of his people. He made us be king, taking us from kings and priests, and queens and putting us at the bottom, and and shipping us everywhere and scattering us everywhere so that everyone can see us in a dead state. But then from that dead state and being scattered, the Most High is going to raise us up all over the world, and everyone is going to see it. That is all part of this prophecy. Next, this is all from, the Book of Columbus, the Prophecies of Columbus. This one is really good. You're going to like this one. Now, he loves Baruch 4, 15, 23, 24. Then we're going to skip to 36 and 37. He brought a distant nation down on them, a ruthless nation, speaking a foreign language. They showed neither respect for the aged nor pity for the child. In sorrow and tears, I watched you go away. But the Most High will give you back to me in joy and gladness forever. As the neighbors of Zion, have now witnessed your captivity, so will they soon see your rescue by the Most High, which will come upon you with great glory and splendor of the eternal. Jerusalem, turn your eyes to the east. See the joy that is coming to you from the Most High. Look, the children you watch go away are on their way home, reassembled from east and west. They are on their way home at the Holy One's command, rejoicing in the Most High's glory. That is what you're seeing right now, the awakening right now. And the thing we're here talking about getting shipped off all over the place. Again, that's a reference back to bearing his arm. He had to, put us in that lower state and to be shaped everywhere so that when we awaken, we're not just awakening in one place. We're awakening worldwide, and the whole world is seeing it. And you're going to see a little article later on about how the whole world is realizing when they get exposed to this information that what we are saying is true, and it's scaring them. Now, what you got to look is this. Look at what they skipped. They skipped from 24 to 36. So let's read a little bit about what's in here. Baruch 28. So let me see here. So 24, yeah, we'll start right there at 28. This is what they don't want to hear. And this is what they've been hiding from all the other Gentiles and all the other nations. For as it was your mind to go astray from the Most High, so being returned, seek him 10 times more. For he that hath brought these plagues upon you shall bring you everlasting joy with your salvation. Take a good heart, O Jerusalem, for he that gave thee that name will comfort thee. Here we go. This is the part they definitely didn't want to hear. Miserable are they that afflicted thee and rejoiced at thy fall. Miserable are the cities which thy children served. Miserable is she that received thy sons. For as she rejoiced at thy ruin, and was glad of thy fall, so shall she be grieved for her own desolation. For I will take away the rejoicing of her great multitude, and her pride shall be returned into mourning. For fire shall come upon her from the everlasting, long to endure, and she shall be inhabited of devils for a great time. That's the part that they didn't want to tell everyone. With this blessing they received, if they did not treat us the right way, they would receive a curse. That's what was hidden from the Gentiles. That's also what's been hidden from the people who have, made their have joined hand in hand with the wicked, who've, given up the glory of the Most High for the dainties of this world. And there's many things going on with that. Many people are realizing that. Just like you've seen all these entertainers dying left and right. That's all part of selling your soul. And the Most High pulling your card. I'm not the Most High pulling your card, because you sold your soul. You gave up your opportunity to be part of this awakening for money, for status, for fame. And that's what's going on right now. So as you can see what parts Columbus skipped, what parts he decided to keep out. And most of it was that part about what's going to happen to these people who received, when the Most High bared his arm and we were scattered all over the world, that there's going to be a price to pay for the people who did that. And that's what he did not want people to realize. That's why you go back to that Revelation 11, and those dead bodies are in the street, and the whole world is rejoicing. That's all part of the rejoicing part, because they're receiving the Most High's chosen seed, receiving all of the resources from our lands, and they just never thought about the fact that they were going to have to pay for all of this. Baruch 5. I'm going to read a little bit of this right here. Jerusalem, take off your dress of sorrow and distress. Put on the beauty of the Most High's glory forevermore. Wrap the cloak of the Most High's saving justice around you. Put the diadem of the eternal one's glory on your head. For the Most High means to show your splendor to every nation under heaven. And the name of the Most High gives you. Forevermore will be peace through justice and glory through devotion. Arise, Jerusalem. Stand on the heights and turn your eyes to the east. See your children reassembled from west and east at the Holy One's command, rejoicing because the Most High has remembered. Though they left you on foot, driven by enemies, now the Most High brings them back to you, carried gloriously like a royal throne. For the Most High has decreed the flattening of each high mountain of the everlasting hills, the filling of the valleys to make the ground level, so that Israel can walk safely in the Most High's glory. And the forest and every fragrant tree will provide shade for Israel at the Most High's command. For the Most High will guide Israel in joy by the light of his glory, with the mercy and saving justice which come from him. This is what you're seeing now getting ready to happen. You're seeing the awakening. You're seeing the fishing of men. And you're seeing how we're quickly coming to the point where the season of the fishing is quickly coming to an end. The Gentiles are trying to set it up where that season is ending. But as they make those kinds of moves, they open themselves up to be moved into the hunting season. And how the Most High is going to, execute that, I have no idea exactly how that's going to happen. But we know that that's going to happen because that's exactly what the Most High is showing us. We were destroyed. We were put at the bottom. We were scattered. The Most High bared his arm. That was all part of the plan so that he can awaken us all over the world and people can see that. And that's what's happening also right now. This, what we just read in Baruch 5, goes exactly with, let me get it real fast. Isaiah 14 and 1. We'll start with Isaiah 14 and 1. For the Most High will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land, and the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Most High for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. And it shall come to pass in the day that the Most High shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve. For a very long time, people thought that the Hebrew Israelites were crazy. Many still do. And that's okay. But many people are realizing the truth that is coming from our community, from our people. I saw this video popped up on my feed last night. I think it was from GMS Chicago. It was one of those groups, and they were talking about this article right here. So I was going to read a little bit about it right here, because this is showing you how this truth is spreading worldwide, and it is affecting people, in a very negative way, because forever they were allowed to believe that no one has to pay for the sins of their father. These churches were set up to make people think that we don't got to worry about that. We don't have to pay for the sins of our father. Yeah, that slavery happened a long time ago. Man, that stuff doesn't happen. There's no more slavery. You guys had Obama as president. Slavery is racism is an old thing now. We're moved past racism now because we had a black president. What people want to say is good and fair isn't what the Most High says is good and fair. So people have been able to have been allowed to live a lie. And now that this word has been poured out worldwide, people aren't able to just sit there and just idly ignore it, sit there idly by and just think that everything's going to go on like this forever. Because as you can see, everything is falling apart quickly. Check this out. Google has 10,000 employees censoring YouTube videos, some of them starting to believe conspiracy theories. And that's the thing, is a lot of it's this. This is what everything revolves around. Everything revolves around the Hebrew Israelites and God's chosen people. We are the time clock. We are the timepiece. The actions of our people dictates what happens with the Gentiles. You know, we fell off. You guys had your opportunity to come to the fourth part, not because of anything you did, but because of our actions and our disobedience. We awaken. Our awakening is now triggering movement by the Gentiles to try to censor the truth, or try, to hide the truth, or try to slow down the truth. Everything revolves around our people. Everything revolves around, our actions. And as you see now, that it talked about that in Jacob 5, as we begin to grow, then the Most High moves to remove the branches that are producing evil fruit. Because it was easy to ignore for a very long time, but it's not anymore. Check this part out right here. YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki, I'm not even going to try, I think that's what it is, tells Leslie Stahl what the video platform is doing about hate speech in an interview Sunday on the CBS News magazine program 60 Minutes. Wojcicki told 60 Minutes that Google employs 10,000 people to focus on controversial content. She described their schedule, which includes time for therapy. Stahl also said there are reports that the monitors are beginning to buy the conspiracy theories. That's huge. If this is all a lie, if all the stuff that they're having to look at is all just a bunch of garbage, how is it that these people who are paid to pretty much monitor these things are now beginning to agree with what they're seeing? You don't think a lot of these monitors are seeing a lot of these Hebrew Israelite videos, because they're definitely monitoring them, and now they're realizing that the stuff that we're saying is actually true. The stuff that we're saying is actually backed up with the Bible that they've probably had in their homes, or they've grown up with their whole lives, but they've been taught wrong. That's what happens when you start everything off with a lie. You're then forced to continue with the lies over and over again, and then eventually the Most High pulls your card and starts to reveal all the things that you've been doing. And now these people are realizing that they had been lied to, and now they're realizing that the stuff that we've been saying is true, which then opens the door for a whole lot of self-reflection, self-doubt, fear. You don't think a lot of people are scared right now? I mean, if I would be definitely fearful if I had been lied to my entire life. I would be on my knees begging for mercy from the Most High, begging for any kind of mercy, because the whole world has been lied to. Not only the Israelites are lied to, but also the vast majority of the Gentiles have been lied to. Check that part out again. Stahl also said there are reports that the monitors are beginning to buy the conspiracy theories. You think maybe that has something to do with maybe they're either changing their regulations and trying to get rid of channels or try to get rid of information? Let's continue reading a little bit more. What we really had to do was tighten our enforcement of that to make sure we are catching everything. And we use a combination of people and machines, Wojcicki explained. So Google as a whole has about 10,000 people that are focused on controversial content. Leslie Stahl, I'm told that it is very stressful to be looking at these questionable videos all the time, and that there's actually counselors to make sure that there aren't mental problems with the people who are doing this work. Is that true? Think about that. Think if you've been brought up in a Christian household your entire life. You've gone to one of these, denominations your whole life. And then you're paid to sit here and check out these videos. And they start to pretty much dismantle your religious beliefs. And they do it in such a way that they only have to use the Bible that you've been walking around with, but things that your pastor has never told you or your priest has never told you. You don't think that that's something that you would probably need some counseling over? If you've been lied to your entire life. Think of these Mormons who have walked around with the Book of Mormon, who have been taught racist doctrines through their religious organizations their whole lives, then come to find out that that Book of Mormon belongs to the true Hebrew Israelites, and that they are actually able to put the information together as no one else can. And now that Book of Mormon has now come to life and is saying things that you've never heard before. You don't think you'll need counseling for that? You don't think you need counseling for the fact that you've gone to church your whole life as a Gentile and you've been given white Jesus, which has given you a false sense of superiority your whole life? Then you have to review these videos. Then all of a sudden you realize, oh my God, Jesus was black. Oh my God, his people are black. Oh my God, these people we've had at the bottom, we've been treating like crap this whole time. Those are God's chosen people. Oh my God, now I got to look at what happens in Exodus and what happened to that country that did all these things to these people. He destroyed them. You don't think that those people are going to need some counseling? You see what, they're admitting some things, but these are the things that they're being exposed to, the truth. And it's now causing fear for all these people. That's what's going on right now. See, the higher ups have known this truth the entire time. The people at the bottom had no clue. Or if they did, they kept those doubts to themselves and continued to enjoy all of the blessings that they got from the society. But now those great things and those benefits that they had and they were able to enjoy are now all disappearing. And now they're realizing that they're at the bottom just like us, except for the fact that we're the Most High's chosen people. And we have the true power who is now coming to our aid and coming and restoring us as a people, restoring us back to a nation of kings and priests and queens, and showing the whole world who we are, just like it talked about in the book of Columbus and his prophecies, as well as in the Bible, that he's going to restore us in front of everyone, and they're all going to see it, and they're all going to be afraid. And that's exactly, now you're seeing that fear right here, with these people needing counselors just to be able to do their job, just to be able to review these videos. And as they're reviewing these videos, they're coming to realize that the information in them is true. And it's very, very terrifying. This was the part 2 of the book of Columbus and his book of prophecies. This was the end game of the prophecies that started with Columbus and him getting a blessing and now getting ready to be returned back to the Most High's chosen people. Just like in the last video in Joel, and talks about the removing of this northern army away from our lands and then the restoration of our people and our lands. That's what we are on the precipice of. That's what we're on the edge of. So as you can see, everything is coming full circle, and everything is now starting to make a lot of sense, not only to us Hebrews, but also to these Gentiles. And many of them are needing counseling in order to, deal with this truth that is now hitting them squarely in the face. So over the next couple of days, we'll see how everything goes. We're all in the Most High's hands. And, I have no doubt that he will provide and keep us connected. I said, because that's what he did before. If they take away the connection that we have right now, the Most High will just move it the way it used to be. Through my studies, through my reading, what happened before was that the Spirit was here. And the Spirit made it so that we could communicate with very little words. It was mostly communication through feeling and with very few words. We were able to communicate in different ways than we do now. And the Most High will definitely restore that to us when the time comes. We're us living in the time of when the Most High took his Spirit away. And when he took away his Spirit, everyone started speaking different languages. As he gives it back to us, we'll begin to speak together the way we used to before, the way we used to communicate together before. And that's what we're definitely going to be moving to. So the Most High will definitely keep us all connected. We are already connected through our spirits. our awakening, and he definitely follows a similar path to the people who have been chosen by the Most High. And he will not abandon us at this time. He will just move in a much more grand way that the whole world will be able to see. Just like he said, once we start to grow, then he sends out the people to clear the path for us to continue to grow and to follow him. So I have all faith in, in the Most High, that he's going to provide everything that we need to do to be the people that he is destined for us to be. He's already doing it. And if you look back at your lives, you'll see how the Most High has been, in our lives this entire time, guiding us to this time. And he will not abandon us now. He will definitely keep us together. He will keep us communicating, and he will keep us growing together and getting ready to follow him the way that he wants us to follow him. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother, who is wisdom, who is the Holy Spirit. Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. Shalom, family.